Drivers, start your engines. You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you to take another lap of the extra mile for today, May 27th, 2021. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is closing in the Memorial Day weekend. That means it is time for the greatest day in motorsports, minus one race, as well as talking about everything that went down last Sunday. And to help me talk about that, of course, are my co-hosts, Michael Ward and Christopher Lehman. Fellas?
Hello, hello.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
I am doing absolutely excellent, and I'm going to toot my own horn here. It is my own show. But I have gained my Masters of Journalism in multi-platform journalism. And I am so freaking happy right now. You guys have no idea. 2 years at UMD are all done.
Congratulations.
I'm tearing up a little bit just thinking about it. Thank you so much. I don't get to toot my own horn often, but I will definitely toot it for that. Like, that was a lot of work that got put through. And to any of my Merrill College grads, fellow grads that are listening, y'all, we got it done in the worst time imaginable during a freaking pandemic, but we did it. Congratulations to everybody. Didn't mean to overshadow you guys like that, but how were your guys this week?
Well, as you guys know, I broke my hand on Monday, so that's been fun. And also Monday night, my wife got Martin Truex Jr. And so got to take our new car in to have the back end replaced because she got rear-ended. So Monday was a bad day for us. Sunday was an excellent day for me, but
yeah. And T, congratulations on your graduation tomorrow. Hey, that class will be fine to get that piece of paper. Everything will be great. All right, so congratulations, brother. You earned it. We all earned it in this pandemic. But Chris, yeah, Monday was not a good day for you. Usually Monday is not a good day for people, and it just was not a great day for you guys. I'm glad everybody is okay, though, with wife and baby and your hand.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. We're all good here on our end. Everybody's relatively healthy, at least.
And Michael, I hope you had a week that was less calamitous than Chris's. I can say that.
It's been very calm around here, but I guess Chris is permanently pulling an Ayrton Senna and going one-handed through swimming pool for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other than that, we've just been dealing with the cicadas here. Michael and I have. I don't know if you have them up there where you are, Chris, but I can tell you how stupid they are. There's been one that is trapped in our window. I'm trying to see if he's still there. Can't see this bike in the way, but somehow got through our little bug screen, and he's been trapped between the panes of our windows for like 7 hours trying to get out.
No, they're blind.
He's a goner.
Yeah.
They're not very intelligent.
Yeah. Because when he dies, you're going to have to try to figure out a way to get him out of there.
I'm not touching that thing. We'll stay right where it is till we decide what we're going to do with this house. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, he's a goner.
Yeah. Anyways, enough about cicadas.
RIP to the cicada.
Yeah, we got a lot to get into tonight. We'll start with F1, and then we'll go into NASCAR in our second segment. And good Lord, we have a lot to talk about with NASCAR, not just on the track. But let's talk about Monaco. And during the beginning of the season, and I said it again after Bahrain, Mercedes cannot afford to have one of their races where basically they wet the bed. And during the Monaco weekend, they completely doused the bed to the point it looked like COTA. Lewis Hamilton had no speed all weekend, and then Valtteri Bottas looked like he was actually going to carry the trophy for the team, and they botch the pit stop. Max Verstappen wins. Lewis Hamilton finishes off the podium. Red Bull now leads both championships. Fellas, I'm not going to mince words. As for Mercedes, that weekend sucked.
Yeah, like you were saying, they needed both drivers this season to be competitive and not have races where they were dropping off like they did this weekend. And true to form, Red Bull has been doing good enough that they're sticking right with Mercedes. And this weekend we had a flop in the standings, and Red Bull, has a pretty decent lead. Verstappen's got, I think, 5 points maybe. So yeah, it was just not the weekend that Mercedes needed to see. But like I said last week, I was hoping for something to make the runnings a little more interesting. And I think we got our midseason drama.
And we needed that. I know Verstappen did a lot of chest thumping after that race. Let us be clear. That team needed that race more than Mercedes did, because Lewis Hamilton was poised to do the runaway again after he basically took Verstappen's lunch the last couple of races. It hasn't evened up the wins, but the momentum has shifted towards Red Bull. Now we're going into Azerbaijan. Mercedes has been extremely strong there. We'll see if that holds up. But Michael, this was just a race where you look at Mercedes and say, it's a good thing y'all have short memories, because that was not good.
Yeah, it's crazy to see them flop like that, really, and just lose control of the race. You're just sitting there seeing them all in control, but now they kind of prove that, we make mistakes, and when we make mistakes, they're kind of catastrophic. With Hamilton down there in P8 and Mercedes pulling off a Haas 2 years ago. Just not a good day for them. Surprisingly, I can't even get my mind around it. You never see them make mistakes, and here they are making mistakes.
The problem with them making mistakes is that the second one could cost them the championship. Red Bull is not going away, and now Ferrari just comes out of nowhere at Monaco, and Charles Leclerc gets onto the pole, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Ferrari's actually going to win this race. And then we get to Sunday morning, and Michael, I'm sorry I have to bring it up this way, but they inspect the car, find a fault with it in the drive shaft. Charles Leclerc doesn't even start the race.
What was that? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Chris, I'm gonna need you to take over for me on this part.
Can you hear me, Michael?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't hear Daryl right now, so I'm gonna need you to take over real quick.
That reaction pretty much describes the entirety of the Tifosi that just don't want to remember that race happened. And you just got to look at the Ferrari engineers, and they were so pressed to try to get that car on pole, they didn't even check to say, hey, maybe we might have to do more extensive fixes on this car. They were trying to hold on to the pole. You don't even get to start the race. And Chris, it just feels like, the last couple of years, Ferrari's worst enemy has been themselves, and it bites them yet again, where they thought they got away with one, and they really didn't.
Yeah, and it just goes back to risk versus reward. Obviously, with Monaco, starting position is a great indicator on what your finishing position is going to be, with the exception of, a bad stop where a tire doesn't come off, or, a wreck or something. But usually where you qualify is pretty close to where you finish. And so with Ferrari, taking the gamble and not, fixing the car, was it inevitable that it would, inevitably was that car going to finish at the end is the real question. And, in a way, I almost applaud them for thinking they could get through it, but stupid games, stupid prizes at the end of the day, which is a saying that I will repeat a little bit later when we get into the NASCAR off the track stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was an off-the-track thing that we have to talk about. Yes, Patrick, there's been another NASCAR off-the-track thing, as we just seem we can't get away with it. But, Michael, you're the resident Leclerc fan. Are you hopeful that speed is going to continue into the rest of the season, or are you just still upset about how things happened at Monaco?
Oh, I can hear you again. Oh, thank God. I'm hopeful that they can. I'm hopeful that they can keep the momentum going. They did show some pace, but it's Monaco, more grippy circuit, less power reliant. So I'm thinking, I'm not too sure if the pace they showed on this track will carry on into the next track. I still think it's a little too early to still see, but I'm hopeful. A Ferrari did finish on the podium. It's not the Ferrari I wanted on the podium, but you can't get too complacent in Formula One. So I'm hoping they can keep this momentum up, and for the next few seasons, they still have a extremely strong McLaren team to beat. I'm gonna say McLaren team. I know some people will want to say, "Oh, Lando Norris's team." No. I believe Ricciardo can get his foot down sooner or later. He's just got to get accumulated to the car.
Yep. We'll have to see how that goes, because Ricciardo, he's getting beat by Norris. There's no other way to say it. As far as the Ferraris, they're coming on, but they could play a spoiler. But going back to McLaren, you thought that Ricciardo and Norris were going to be a little bit closer, but Norris lapping him, not a good look.
Definitely not a good look, and Ricciardo knows it, and it's just a shame to see him struggling. Whereas Vettel at first struggled, but he's managed to find some pace. Also, congratulations, Sebastian Vettel, P5. Not bad. It's good to see the Aston Martin team finally getting up there and collecting some decent points. So hopefully Ricciardo can get it up there, because I hate to see the man struggle. He's such I don't want to say a happy-go-lucky driver, but he's such a driver that puts a lot of time and effort into trying to get the best out of the car, and to see him struggle it's off-putting. I'm usually used to seeing him up there and not battling in the midfield, so I hope he can find something in the car to make his results better.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll be a little bit of a break until we get to Azerbaijan. It'll be about 3 weeks until we get there, as I'm actually looking at the F1.com right now. So go to the schedule. They will race again June 4th through the 6th. So it'll actually be 2 weeks until we start again, which next week will be the second week, of course. That could be where we see things swing back towards Mercedes' favor, or maybe it'll be Red Bull's turn to start pushing things out there in the lead of both championships. But we know we'll see a lot more passing on this circuit than we will at Monaco, because Monaco has completely outgrown these cars. But we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back. When we do come back, we are going to talk about everything that happened in the NASCAR world, the good and the bad. But folks, before we go, I have to say something. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed, to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just trying to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Check them out on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, on Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, and on Facebook at Southern California Warriors. Thank you so much to the Southern California Warriors for sponsoring IE Sports Radio. We'll be right back after this.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio. Daryl's here with you with Christopher and Michael. Going to get into the Echo Park GP now, and was it a wet and wild affair? The race was run almost completely on the wet tires, despite the teams going out on the dry tires. It completely started raining pretty much immediately once the race started due to the tropical depression moving into the area. And fellas, for the first pure wet race for NASCAR, I don't think it was as bad as everybody said it was.
No, especially from the fan perspective. I can understand it from the drivers because they did have a tough race. There was zero visibility. But from a fan perspective, it really was a good race. It was interesting seeing, who can manage all the slips and slides. And I think that this was one of the best recent memory tests of driver skill that we've seen by far. And I think that made for a good race despite the downpour conditions. And I'm ready for the next road course.
I absolutely loved this race. I think the NASCAR drivers did well to race in the rain, although there's some issues with the car we're going to talk about. Michael, what were your thoughts on it? Because Twitter was pretty divisive, and it really happened when we got the green flag for stage 2. I
think it was a really great race. I think it's one of those races I'll remember for a long time because, it's nice seeing these guys race on a circuit like this. And then also it was raining. It's nice to see these guys' skills being tested in conditions that will, you don't see drivers drive on all the time. So I was very I'm not going to lie. The race kept my attention all throughout the race. I just wanted to see who would win. The crashes were there was a couple of crashes that were actually very terrifying, but it was great to see them race in the rain, but there are still some things they need to improve on the cars to make rain racing better for them. I think these cars definitely need more lights to help guide the drivers, and definitely other types of ways to improve the racing. But other than that, really good race. I'm honestly, like I said in the beginning of the show, I was really surprised to see that people didn't like the race.
And I think we'll talk about people who didn't like the race in a minute, because I think they know why. We had a couple of hellacious accidents just because people couldn't see going down the backstretch, which was new pavement, extremely wet track to start stage 2, to the point NASCAR actually had to red flag the race and blow the water off with the Air Titans, which gets into the subject of NASCAR doesn't really race in the rain. And I think people keep forgetting this. Most of our racing when the rain was the next day when it was dry. That's how much experience we have with rain racing. So a lot of stuff that other sanctioning bodies has learned, NASCAR is trying to figure out right now. So there are things they need to do with the car. And we talked about it a little bit at the beginning before we went on air. I do agree they need more than that little light on the back, but they also have to get the spray down. If you look underneath your own car, there's these little metal, I'd call them like guards behind the rear wheel you might see that help keep spray down and mud from splashing up when you're driving on the road. They probably need to add those on the bottom of the car. I don't know how that's going to help with how low they like to put these things on the ground, but that might be changing with the next gen car, which we'll see when we get there. What do you guys feel when it comes to, for lack of a better word, weatherizing the Cup car?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to do that. Especially, they could just take a thick piece of rubber and fix it to the rear bumper, and it would more or less prevent a lot of that spray back. Another thing would be, they need more than that little box in the back window. It needs to be a full bar across the back window. And with conditions like that, I think it would almost be good if when they were braking, the light changed color, or like half the light bar changed color, just so that way you knew the car ahead of you was braking. And in most scenarios, we're not going to see that heavy of a downpour. But, I mean, safety, if safety is really the biggest concern that everybody has, there are ways that they can make these cars safe to run in the rain. And what it's going to take to make those changes are running in the rain and seeing what happens. We've seen that NASCAR, they're usually pretty quick when they see something not working in terms of safety. They bring those cars back to R&D. They figure out why that happened, how it happened, And the rain racing's no different. They're going to start tinkering around now that they've learned. And I think the next time that we have rain, I think we'll see a little bit different of a safety package on these cars.
It's something they're going to have to work on, obviously, because we're going to all these road courses, and they also want to run in damp conditions on the flat ovals because they have another wet weather tire test at Richmond coming up soon. They've got to get this figured out if we're going to do more rain racing, and I have no doubts that they will. And they can also talk to their sister organization in IMSA to get that sorted out. But I don't think the race, other than those two incidents, the race wasn't bad. Although I do think 68 laps is far too long for that track. They need to bring it down to 60 because that was way too long of a race, in my opinion, just because of how large that track is and how slow our cars are. Now, that might change next year, of course, with the next-gen car, where they're going to have 5 gears and a car much better suited to road courses.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll change and make the racing more interesting to watch. And I just hope that the racing is just going to continue to get better from here on out with the new car. I liked what I saw at Circuit of the Americas, and I hope it continues into next year with these new cars, and hopefully they listen to this podcast and make all the changes to make all these cars better, because some of those accidents wouldn't be so bad if they had what Daryl described on the car. And it can still be a great, interesting race, still be a fun race, but it can also still be a safe race. So definitely can't wait to see if they implement those changes.
Yeah, and let's talk about the winner, Chase Elliott. What else can be said about him other than he's really, really good at road courses? Chris, he's closing in on the wins total for road courses at 9, which is held by Jeff Gordon, which is a little bit unfair for Jeff, as they only had 2 road courses in his time and not 7 like Elliott has. But he's really starting to become the new NASCAR king of the road.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to... So Chase has raced 14 road courses, and he's won 6 of them. So as of right now, he's only run an average of 2 road courses a year. So in 14 races, he has more than halved Jeff Gordon's record. So as of right now, that statistic can hold. And if you apply that over every year of his career, even if he holds out at like 1 a year, he's still going to get the record. Even if he gets 1 every other year, he's still going to get the record. Chase Elliott, in my opinion, is going to set an almost unbreakable road course record by the time that he's done. And really, I don't know where his acumen for road course racing came from. But I think we are watching history every time that kid gets in a race car on a road course. And I think my favorite thing about Chase on road courses is the fact that his dad is there spotting for him. That is just such a heartwarming thing to see.
Wait, his dad is a spotter?
Yeah, he was. His dad was part of the spotter for the road courses, and he was doing it for he was doing it for. Lord, my brain just took a dump right there. Doing it for COTA. Good night.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
So
what I meant.
I'm pretty sure Bill has spotted every Cup Series road course that Chase has run. Somebody on Twitter is going to be like, no, he missed 18 or something like that, but no, I'm pretty sure that Bill has spotted every race that's a road course, because they typically use 3 spotters, and we'll get into it later, but one of the spotters is going to be coming in and spotting for Chase indefinitely at this point. So
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. Kyle Larson finished second in that race, and much like Denny Hamlin can't continue to go on without winning races, Kyle Larson cannot continue finishing second without winning these races. He has dominated or been in position to win a lot this season, a lot more than I thought he was going to, and which brought up an interesting question that you had, Chris. It feels like you look at how Kyle Larson is running now, even with the enforced year-long vacation, this kind of, it begs the question of how bad is Ganassi's cars if Larson jumps into a Hendrick car after missing a year and is running this well.
Yeah, and then you look and you see, Kurt's kind of fell off a cliff a little bit this year, sparking a false retirement rumor. And actually, Ross Chastain, I was surprised to see some coverage of him at COTA. I think he ended up with a top 10 finish, which, deserves a hats off if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, I'm just curious if Chase drove the wheels off of Ganassi or what's going on, because I think we're seeing the tale of two Kyles right now. And one of them is Kyle in Hendrick equipment looks like Kyle on a dirt track to me.
Yeah, he's been good. And Ross Chastain did finish fourth in that race, and Kurt Busch was on his way to a decent finish. Then he almost annihilates his brother going into at the end of the long straightaway there at COTA, which precipitated bringing out the eventual final caution of the day, which I have no idea how Kurt Busch threaded the needle there. Like, did you guys see that video?
Oh yeah,
I was wiping out two cars.
Oh yeah, crazy moment.
That was one of those things that next time that happens, 3 cars are going off the turn, not one.
Yeah. I completely agree. Next time that happens, somebody's getting annihilated. Like, that cannot happen the same way 10 out of 10 times. Like, that was just incredible how he saved that.
Just good driver and good equipment. Well, good equipment, not great equipment, but yeah.
And perfect spacing between his brother and I forget who the other car was. But I mean, they had the perfect amount of spacing between them for him to fit through.
Yeah. And I don't think we'll ever see that space ever again. So they head on to the Coke 600 this weekend at Charlotte, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But first, I don't think we can avoid it anymore. Let's get into the off-the-track stuff. And unfortunately, it involves a Hendrick Motorsports spotter for the second time this season. Eddie DeHaan was arrested after assaulting a pregnant woman, which stemmed from an argument about jet ski rentals. This incident happened in 2020. He did not inform Hendrick Motorsports about his arrest. It was later brought to light, and NASCAR and Hendrick has suspended him indefinitely. Eddie DeHaan has spotted for many drivers, including Chase Elliott and Jeff Gordon at the end of his career, and it's sad to see that this happened. I'm not sure what the nature of the assault was that got the charges. It could have just been a push or something. Doesn't matter. Shouldn't have happened. And yet again, it's a Hendrick Motorsports spotter involved in some nonsense. Because remember, Kyle Larson was going to have his original spotter got caught up in some previous president tweets. We'll say that. And some other things that Hendrick Motorsports was made aware of, and they fired him on the spot. Kind of sucks that this happened to Chase, and it overshadows yet another road course win for him, but this shouldn't be too much of a distraction for the team, to be honest. I think they'll be able to put it away.
Well, don't let me hold you down. But yeah, it's not a good look for a team to have one of their crewmates or in their spotters get in some sort of trouble or get arrested, because that looks bad on the team and it looks bad on the sport. So hopefully that can get rectified, or hopefully they take the necessary precautions next time they hire a spotter, or well, assuming he got fired. But yeah, hopefully they take some stern discipline there for cutting loose at a racetrack.
Yeah, it's good to see NASCAR take a stand and suspend him in HMS. That's more than F1 has done when it comes to assaults.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jab F1 on that every chance I can, because they deserve it. But
take as many jabs as you want. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. So, no, it's crazy that Chase seems to have these wins just get overshadowed by something. And, but I mean, a good story that came out of it was Chevy gets win 800 and HMS ties Petty for the most wins. So they're tied. And now the money is, does Eric Jones grab RPM a win and take back the title, or does HMS grab it? I think we all know the more likely scenario on that over under. But the suspension is definitely warranted for Eddie DeHaan, and he's guilty in public opinion. But the facts will come out, and not that it excuses it, but I read some of the reviews of this company, and it seems like this is a common problem for this company, where their customer service is quite possibly the worst in the world. So, not excusing it by any means, but it seems like antagonizing customers is standard business practices there. So it was inevitable. If it wasn't a NASCAR spotter, it was going to be somebody else.
Yeah, we did look into the Yelp reviews of the place, and obviously this doesn't excuse what happened. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to paint the whole picture here, and there was a lot of stuff going on there and a lot of potential shady stuff that Eddie didn't want to put up with and turn into an argument, and unfortunately it got physical. You cannot have that happen, but as you said, Chris, if it wasn't with him, and I'll go out on a limb to say it's probably happened before with this place, the way the reviews read, but you gotta understand in that position your job and what could happen if you do something like get into a physical altercation. Now Eddie does not have a job right now, and depending on how the court case goes, he may not have a job in perpetuity, and which goes back to another point that I need to make on Twitter, because a lot of people don't really understand how the Constitution works. And today we're going to have to give a lesson about innocent until proven guilty. Folks, your job is not under any Fifth Amendment responsibilities, for lack of a better word. If you get arrested, they can suspend you or they can fire you. It's in your handbook. The only people that are beholden to innocent until proven guilty are the justice system. Your job does not care. And legally, they don't have to. Just going to put that out there. Just like with the First Amendment. But that's a story from another day. But it's unfortunate that this has happened, but hopefully we'll be able to move past it. It's going to make for some uncomfortable questions tomorrow during media day, of course. But unfortunately, it is what it is. But We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to preview this weekend's races, including one of my favorite races of the entire year, the Indy 500. We'll be right back. You are listening to The Extra Mile here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
To the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back here in the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We were talking a little bit about the situation with Eddie DeHaan in the break, and there were some Twitter posts that we're going to touch on briefly before we get into our preview for this weekend's races. Folks, why would NASCAR suspend Chase Elliott for something his spotter did?
I can't think of a reason, Daryl. What about you, Michael?
I can't think of a reason. Maybe because it doesn't involve the driver, but that's just me.
I mean, and people, y'all might think I'm making that up. I'm not making that up. I actually got into a Twitter thread about this incident where somebody said Chase Elliott should have been suspended because he let Eddie spot for him after he got arrested. Do you think Eddie just went into work and said, hey, I got arrested, and people were just like, hey, that's cool. See you in Texas. Like, no. That's not what happened here. Like, this incident was in September. The arrest wasn't until recently. He basically paid his bond and I think got out that day. So it wasn't that big of a deal, apparently. So it's not like he was in there for the weekend and they couldn't find him. He went in and out the same day. Like, folks got to calm down with this stuff. And they're probably only saying it because it's Chase Elliott, because there's this irrational hatred of Chase Elliott for some reason. But that's a story for another day.
Sometimes I forget about, like, bond, like when people get arrested. Because here in New York, we when you get arrested, there are only few crimes that you don't get released the same day. So like if you get arrested for, I don't know, like misdemeanor assault, they book you, and then a couple hours later they release you. There's no bond, there's no money involved. Like you just get an appearance ticket. It's controversial and it's new, but when I see like the news reports talking about Eddie DeHaan making bond, like I almost forget that exists. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, the cash bond system is not something I agree with. But that's a story for another podcast.
So the theory that I had read about, and it was, I'm on my Twitter right now, and I'll tell you guys, I shared it on my account, but it was an interesting theory for me that Matthew Burrows tweeted out, and the tweet reads, "Something we need to consider about the Eddie DeHaan story. Why was this posted in the middle of the night by a burner Reddit handle? User NASCAR_champ is a new account with no other posts. Was this a leak from the Hendrick organization?" And then he goes on to subtweet, "I can't think of anyone besides an insider that would care about anonymity. Some mugshot prowler discovering it on the database would gladly scream it from the highest mountaintop." And that's something that resonated with me because we all know how Twitter is. And if somebody, especially in a certain awake part of Twitter, had found that, they would be so public about it. And just the way that it got posted almost makes you think that somebody within Hendrick, or maybe even Hendrick themselves, needed to get the story out or bring it to light. I'm sure disciplinary actions were happening behind the scenes, but somebody clearly wanted it brought to light.
Yeah, it feels like somebody got mad and was like, "No, I'm putting this out there," is what it kind of feels like. Now, of course, that doesn't disclose the fact that he should have told his boss and he probably wouldn't be in this situation. But the whole situation is just weird, and I don't want to really get into it any further than what we know of right now. And I just hope that, it doesn't get any more serious than it is right now.
Yeah, and let this be a lesson to everybody. If something like this happens, it's always best to get out ahead of it than to, let people find out through other avenues, because, the truth always does come out in every case. And it's way better to get ahead of it than let people find out in another way.
Yeah. Getting ahead of your mess, because your mess will be brought to light at some point. But we're going to continue now into the final segment of the show and talk about this weekend. And this is always one of my favorite weekends. Used to be 3 races. Now it's 2 races. Thanks, Formula One. But we now have the Memorial Day 1100, the Indy 500, and the Coke 600. And guys, it used to be with this day where you'd wake up, eat breakfast with Monaco.
Wait, it's still called the Coke
lunch.
600? I'm sorry.
Huh?
It just dawned on me that it's still called the Coke 600.
Yeah, it's still the Coke. It's one of the few races that hasn't changed, to be honest. But
yeah,
it's one of those races.
Sorry,
you wake up with Monaco. It used to be you wake up with Monaco. You had lunch with the Indy 500, and then you got dinner and passed out in front of the TV during the Coke 600. It's shortened now to where it's just lunch with the 500 and dinner with the 600. But guys, I'm still excited for this Memorial Day weekend. I can't wait to get this race started. Started.
Yeah, it's always fun when you got a nice full day lineup of racing. You get comfy on the couch and you don't even have to move. And
this race is still called the Coke 600.
Yes.
So Michael is stuck on that. It's still the Coke 600.
Yeah, well, Coke is a huge sponsor of NASCAR. They want their race. and they want the best. Well, not the best one, but one of the crown jewels anyway.
Yep.
But no, it's going to be fun. It's always fun having a full day of races, even if we're missing out on the F1. We got it last week, which was nice, and I'm looking forward to having some drinks and hanging out and watching races.
Yep. So on the poll for the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500, which I cannot wait to get started, by the way, Scott Dixon, Colton Herta, and Rinus VeeKay. You got the grizzled old veteran with Scott Dixon up there trying to get to GOAT status in IndyCar. But he got those youngins on that first row with him. Colton Herta, Rinus VeeKay, looking for their first Indy 500s. They're going to be hungry to try and lead that race early into turn one.
Yeah, and early momentum definitely plays a part into how confidence works through the rest of the race. So definitely at least defending your spot, if not picking up and leading some early laps, are definitely a huge confidence boost, especially for those young guys coming into the crown jewel of races. It'll be interesting to see the old dog versus the young pups, and I think Dixon will have something up his sleeve to make sure that they do not take first place from him. But it'll be interesting to see how the dive into that first corner goes.
It is going to be fun to see. We might see more passing this week. It's going to be much cooler for the Indy 500 this week, which will be a much thanks to the 135,000 fans that will be there. We will have fans in attendance this Sunday. And also for the drivers, because the last couple of years, it has been hot at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's only going to be a high of, I believe, 69 degrees coming in on Sunday. So it's going to be a nice, cool temperature for the drivers and the fans. Also for the tires, could mean we could see more passing on Sunday.
Yeah, it could be. More passing, and oh my God, I just remembered Coke 6. This is a long race.
Yeah, it's 400 laps. This is going to be a 4-hour race. And unfortunately, the last few years, one person just up and dominated the vast majority of it. We saw Martin Truex Jr. do that. Chase Elliott. No, that was actually the second Charlotte race last year, not the 600. But no, that was the 600 where they made the pit call where we were all like, what are you doing? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was it.
It feels like that race feels like it was 5,000 years ago with everything that happened last year. But it's going to be interesting. Do you think we're going to see a race where, and with the 600, you know how things go. It starts in the day. There's some cars that are going to be good during the daytime. Then it goes into night. The track's going to cool off. People that were ahead of the track are going to come forward. Some people are going to be back. Do you think it's going to be a race with this 550 package that they're starting to figure out, or that they've gotten figured out now, where you'll have multiple leaders up front, or is there just going to be one rabbit that they're going to have to chase?
I think it's just going to be one rabbit that they're going to have to chase, honestly, because I learned about the 550 package, and for most part, it is okay racing, but the other part is, I don't think Charlotte apparently isn't a multi-groove racetrack or something like that, and it's a single groove racetrack, so it doesn't promote that much racing. This is just going off of something I recently read up on, but I'm not too sure. It just seems like it's not going to be a good race because there's not going to be a lot of passing. And
that place has never been the same since they diamond ground it. I'm going to be honest.
There's diamond ground.
I got to remember what it was. They took like some diamond drills and or a diamond grinder, and ran it across the surface. It was supposed to be a new way to, treat the surface without having to do repaves. All it did was take all the grip out the circuit. And the first race we had with it at that speedway, we set the NASCAR record for cautions, 25 in a 400-mile race. We haven't diamond ground a track since. That's how successful it was.
Jesus, that does not sound good at all.
No.
So why are we doing it?
I don't know why we did it. But, and hey, Davidson, you're just joining us at the end as we're getting ready to pick who we think is going to win this weekend. It is double points weekend in Nearest the Win. I'm going VK and Martin Truex Jr. Fellas, who you got?
You go first, Michael.
I'm going to go with... Did I go with Dixon last time? I'm going to...
I can check.
Yes, please check, because I'm not sure. I think it was Will Power I went with.
Yeah, we both went with Will Power. You and I both did.
Okay,
yeah, y'all both went Power.
I'm picking Dixon.
Pagino.
I'm going to go Dixon.
Okay.
And who for Cup?
Cup, I'm going to go with Truex to dominate it again.
All right, that just leaves me. So I'm going to go Scott Dixon, and I really wanted to go with Truex. He seems like the natural choice because he's won a couple in the last years. But the last time Brad Keselowski won the last race, we were there. Jimmy won the next race after that. So I'm going to go with Hendrick again. And I think Kyle Larson notches the old belt this time. I think he finally turns those twos into a one.
Well, we will see that happens. And again, if you want to play Nearest to Win, just give us your picks with hashtag Nearest to Win. And make sure you vote in the poll tomorrow. Who are you riding with this weekend with one of our hosts? Or do you have a pick yourself? Remember, hashtag Nearest to Win to be included into the game. We're going to get ready to say good evening. Christopher's at Fiji Sims. Michael's at Michael_Ward25. Make sure you listen to any episode that you've missed of any iSports radio show, anywhere where podcasts can be heard. And make sure you follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the website, iSportsRadio.com. And check out the Extra Mile Extra Mile IESR on Twitter. Get involved in the polls and let us know what you think about the race weekend as it goes on. But that's going to be the checkered flag for this episode. My name is Daryl for Michael and Christopher. This has been the Extra Mile. We will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.